live interview tonight with light designer Cy LaGrassa, who is the founder of Neighborhood Lighting LLC and has been helping venues take their shows to the next level. I'm your host, Wallace Totier. We're at the Emporium Live. We bridge the gap between venues, bands, and fans. And one of the ways we do that is by collaborating with artists and industry professionals to provide you with the resources and knowledge you need to help navigate the music industry. You can join us on our live interviews every Monday and Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, and our podcast is available on all platforms. You can also join our forum at the website, theemporiumlive.com/forum. And remember, our floor is open to questions, so whatever platform you're watching on right now, just type away. And our guest today is Cy LaGrassa. Thank you for joining us. Oh, can you hear me, buddy? I don't think we're getting anything from Cy over there right now. Cy, can you hear me, buddy? I'm gonna shoot him a text, see if he can get his mic turned on. All right. Sorry, everybody.
There we go.
All right. Can you hear me now, bud?
Yep.
All right. Cool. Well, now that we got your attention, gonna ask with the first question is, how'd you get your start in the field, man? What got you into lighting?
So, it was actually mostly an accident, actually. The band Ambulance had a lighting rig. I was working with the Kenny brothers at the time, and we were just kind of all talking, like, how can we make the show experience more of a show? We were playing like Fury's, the Stone Church, venues like that, where there wasn't much of a lighting rig, but there was still something. So I got a hold of the Ambulance lighting rig, which was 4 Chauvet Intimidator 250s, just little motion headlights and some truss. Set it up on stage, and from there just kind of blew up between doing shows for the Kenny brothers to then starting to do lights for Ambulance to then progressively building more and more clientele over the years.
All right, that's cool, man. So do you know what your first big gig was for doing lights?
My first big gig, I mean, that's kind of also it depends on what we were considering. But the first like real big show I did was with the Kenny with Trombone Shorty in Orleans Avenue back in June. We were playing Frederick Muir Gardens in Wisconsin, I believe it was. But like the first kind of breakthrough from getting just into like the Stone Church and Furies to getting into like Brighton Music Hall, for example, was with Six Fox Whiskey. And then
cool.
kind of bouncing around all sorts of different places with them and like Strange Machines. Ended up doing a show down at Wally's for CKY, just random bands all over the place.
Nice. And you've done a lot of shows with Trombone Shorty, you said?
Yeah, I think right now we're probably at like 16 to 20 since June.
Nice. Very cool.
Year.
All right. And then we've had the Kenny brothers on here before for an interview, and you said you did lights with them also?
Yeah, so they were the first band I ever lit.
Okay. Very cool, man.
At Fury's one night. It was a hell of a night, actually. We had we all loaded in super early to help out with getting the light rig installed, and then come sound check, our sound guy kind of just vanished out of nowhere. We didn't know where he went and never showed back up, so we were all just kind of at a loss. And I was like, well, I guess maybe I'm not supposed to be a lighting designer, so we'll see how this plays out. And then somehow somebody came and figured out the audio system, and we were able to start the show, but the show didn't start until 11 o'clock at night, 10:30.
So, all right, speaking about having mechanical hiccups like that, what kind of equipment do you use? Is there usually stuff set up for you to get straight to using, or do you get to bring your own stuff?
So if I'm doing a show with the band directly, as far as like Strange Machine, Six Fox Whiskey, Kenny Brothers, those guys. I do have a lighting rig that I do roll around with, as far as physical fixtures go. I also have a console that I roll with. It's just two Akai APC, an APC 40 and an APC 20 running through a MIDI translator that Luke Stratton, Dopapod's lighting designer, coded so that it would talk to the computer software Grand MA2 on PC. And like for an example of like the bigger aspect of things, when I'm out doing shows with Trombone Shorty, if we're doing one-offs, then everything's already installed, the console's already turned, and all I have to roll with is a thumb drive for those shows. Unless if we're doing a bus tour, then we do have an additional lighting package that's on a trailer with all the band gear.
Okay. Very cool. Very cool. So with all that said, I'm sure you get enough practice by just setting up the shows and all that. But on the off time, how do you practice? Like, do you have somewhere you can go, or do you just do it all at home?
So like I have the ability to put up some lights in my basement and mess with them. I also have the 3D software that Grand MA or MA Lighting puts out with their software that allows you to build any stage you want. It's free. So if anybody's interested in getting into it to lighting, you can go download that software and you can start building rigs, learning how everything works. And it's a rather intuitive software. Is like, so once you know how to do one thing, you know how to do a couple other things, and it's all kind of a building block for the rest of your show file.
All right, that's
so
cool.
That being said, I've spent multiple hours doing show file, building different rigs and show files in my basement, just in the 3D software for fun.
And that's so like, say you've got stuff to do with, say, Trombone Shorty coming up soon, and you've got the track already. You can just practice at home with that one song, have the lights already pre-programmed, save that on your thumb drive, and it's good to go also.
Yeah, you can do that. Most of the shows that I program aren't a time code, so that there's the ability to just hit one button and have the entire show go. Like it has to be timed perfectly. Everything has to be in sync.
So when you're doing it more in a live aspect, so you can kind of follow how the band's grooving and keep it up with them.
Right. That's what we call busking. So like I have just a bank of colors, gobos, which is the filter that goes over the light to kind of give it that different look. And then I also have one side for like positions, dimmer chases, strobe, all that kind of stuff.
All right, that's fun. Have you ever worked the lightings and also have someone on stage with you that's doing like the graphic designs on the screens behind it as well, and have to like try to function with them?
I have done that once. I was out on tour with Le Special back in February of 2019. And we were down at Swanee Park doing Brainquility Music Festival. We were on the B stage, and there was just this massive scaffolding tower that they built, and I was on the first level, and then on top of me was all the guys doing the video screens and stuff like that. So I was kind of seeing how they were lighting the music, and then kind of trying to follow that in a sense with the way I was lighting, as well as still putting my creative element into it that I'd been doing that whole tour.
All right, interesting. So how do you go about networking, but being just an LED? Like, how do you get your foot in the door for a gig?
So most of it is just kind of grinding it out. And so the way that I ended up getting in with the Trombone Shorty crew was I was at the Ghost of the Forest show back in April of last year. And I ran into Preston Hoffman, which is Mo's lighting designer, and also he runs Pulse Lighting out of Tennessee. And I kind of like ran up to him and was like, hey, you really don't know who I am. I know who you are. I've been trying to build my name as a lighting designer. And the next day he gave me his Facebook contact. And the next day I like shot him an email with what I had for lighting history. And then I didn't hear anything for 2 months. April, yeah, 2 months. And then all of a sudden he calls me. He's like, "Hey, can you go fly out with the Shorty crew for 4 days?" So I did 4 days with them. We were in um, Frederick Muir Gardens, um, Sweetwater Pavilion, the Rochester Jazz Festival, and the Saratoga Performing Arts Center. And those were like the four big shows that I had from them, and like the four biggest venues I'd ever lit. And to me, lighting the Saratoga Performing Arts Center was like is a pinnacle for me in my career right now, because I'd been seeing Fish there for 6, 7 years at that point. So getting to kind of walk through where all they walked through and light the same stage that they happened to be playing 2 days after our show there. So it was just an incredible.
Nice. That's super cool. That's way awesome. So yeah, and then that was your first time doing anything with Shorty? Or with, I'm sorry, Trombone Shorty? That was your first time. That was your first time doing stuff with Trombone Shorty? Was those 4 gigs?
Yeah, that was the first I ever had with them.
Nice. Did you know them previous to that, or was that just he needs you to go fly out and do their gigs?
That was the only contact I really had, was getting the phone call being like, "Hey, we need you to do this. Can you take care of it?" And I was still working a day job at the time, so I had to like talk to my boss and be like, "Hey, I'm going to be gone for like 2 weeks." Because like I got into that job with my boss knowing 100% that I'm trying to build my career as a lighting designer and do it full time. So he knew the phone calls were going to start coming eventually, where I was going to have to be out of work for 2-3 weeks at a time. And then they kind of happened back to back. And he was like, "All right, this is getting a little ridiculous."
Good deal. So what's it like right now, like the scene for you locally doing shows and traveling doing shows? I know a lot of stuff is slowing down, but are you still able to keep busy being a light designer for like in-house venues maybe?
So I mean, as far as venues go, I've been out of work since March 8th, but been working on some projects as far as doing some live streams in a buddy of ours recording studio / barn with the Kenny brothers. We actually just did one this past Saturday. That actually turned out really cool. A good buddy of mine been doing our audio aspect of it and handling the video at the same time. And then I've just been handling lighting.
Cool.
But other
Is
than
it
that,
much different?
Go ahead.
Is that much different doing the live streams with the lighting?
It is, because like you don't get, because there's multiple occasions where I've been doing lighting and the band is in a really kind of dark, funky jam kind of thing going on, and I bring the lights real low, almost black on the stage, and then start to have little bumps of lighting fill in, and hearing the crowd react to that, also reacting to the band, and it's just kind of all one. It becomes one being at that point, because the band and I are locked into each other, and then the audience is also reacting to all of it.
So what's like how do you change your strategy when you're doing it on live? Like, I guess you can't go all the way black sometimes, and also not having the crowd to kind of push you. You kind of hype yourself up, I guess.
Yeah, like luckily I've been working with the Kenny brothers for 3 years now. So like I still love all of their music like the same way I did the first time I heard them. And it's just been a real fortunate opportunity to continue to work with them and still feel their passion about the music, and then put my passion into it, and then grow it together.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Have you reached out to try to do any more like live streams, or are they trying to get more people on for stuff like that? Is that something that's going to become maybe a normal thing?
Yeah, we've been talking about trying to figure everything out as far as keeping sanitation levels to a standard, so that we could potentially have some other bands come in, kind of stuff like that. But for now, it's just been the Kenny brothers rocking it.
Gotcha. So I guess that's one of the most recent things you're doing right there, is the live stream with the Kenny brothers. Is there anything else going on that you've got project wise?
Honestly, not a whole lot. It's just been a bunch of attempting to write music, getting a quarter of the way through a song, and having it die.
What kind of music you trying to write?
What's that?
What kind of music you trying to write?
It's just a little bit all over the place. There's no defining point in it right now. Just been kind of laying down a bass chord progression. Wow, I can't talk. And trying to get past it. I just keep having this ridiculous block that I can't ever seem to get past.
All right. Was there anything else in the industry that you're trying to get your fingers in, or trying to get at least some good knowledge on that you're able to stay steady with everyone else? Did he freeze up on us? I think we lost him. All right. So with that said, I'm pretty sure we'll get him back here in a few. For anyone who is watching live, we're sorry about that. And if you do have any questions while you're watching, just go ahead and type them in the box down there.
Third time.
Sorry, we got you back.
Maybe third time's a charm.
It's all good, man.
I don't know why it's all of a sudden cutting out on my end.
Oh, it's all, yeah, it was before the interview even started. Everything was super fluid. It was all good. It was bound to happen at some point. So yeah, like you mentioned, you were making music, you're doing the light shows. Is there anything else in the industry that you're trying to get your toes wet on, so you got information for later or knowledge, or make conversations in the future easier with other people you don't know?
I've been kind of thinking about starting to dig into like the video wall world, um, just to have some knowledge about it. Just haven't really done it yet
Yeah.
because I also am trying to dig deeper into lighting because there's still so much more that I don't even know or even know how to do in in the software that I use. And luckily, like the ACT lighting people have released their class. It's like a $1,300 class for free. So I've been kind of taking my time cranking through all their lessons that they have.
Cool. Is there any names of other light designers that you actually are, like, you find that you're trying to keep up with and seeing what kind of shows they're lighting, or any names that you want to put out there that you think would be good people for other people to watch who want to get into light designing?
I mean, my go-to always has been and always will be Chris Carota of Fish. He's phenomenal at what he does, and I'm happy to have a similar story to how he got his start. He actually got his start, according to theory, at the Stone Church in Newmarket. And that was kind of really where I had my first residency as an LD, which was it was awesome to kind of think about that, and then to eventually light SPAC, which he had lit or has lit multiple times, and I was lighting 2 days before he was back there. Other lighting designers that I always am watching is my good buddy Josh Rowe, who's Trombone Shorty's usual LD. I'm just their sub. My buddy Matt Calabrese for Strange Machines. He's really good at what he does. Always used to watch Jefferson Waffle all the time while he was touring with Humphreys. And I mean, Manny Newman of Pigeons, he's crushing the game right now. Amazing at what he does. Christian Jackson is an amazing LD. There's so many of them out there. Like the list just keeps going and going and going. And
that's good. I'm happy to hear that you have a list of other LEDs that you enjoy, just like how other DJs have other DJs they enjoy. You know, like coming into this interview, that's something I was worried that, like, if I asked you that, you're like, yeah, one or two, but for you to keep going, I'm like, all right, this is like, you're really into it. That's freaking awesome, man.
Yeah, absolutely. It's an ever changing industry, and to see how everybody's keeping up with it is just incredible. With,
And
I mean, Kuroda having the whole moving truss system for the last couple of years with fish, that absolutely blew my mind. Like, I hadn't been able to see fish really since I started lighting, and until this past year, I was able to catch it, and my jaw was on the floor the entire time.
good deal. Now, did you have any like background in theater for like high school or college at all, doing lighting on that before you started
Not at
doing
all.
shows? Not at all. Wow.
No,
Okay. Because I
I
was going to ask, what do you think one of the easier ways for someone who didn't have the ability in like a school to do that first outside, like you, like how, what would be the easiest way to get in there?
um probably just to kind of get your hands on some gear and try to mess with it until you can put out a show.
You know?
And that's where the whole, like, the 3D software of MA lighting can come in handy, because the catalog of fixtures that are in there is endless, and you can program countless shows, hang lights in different places. It's really amazing what you can do with all of that.
Okay. Very cool. All right. And do you have any plans for like when you might be able to start doing like another like actual venue show? Like do you have any plans for a show back, or is it going to be online for the foreseeable future for right now?
It's all going to be online
Yeah.
until things get cleared up. It's been it's getting old at this point. I'm dying to go back into a venue to light a show. Like, that's just been a constant thing I've been thinking about, is the feeling of that first show back.
Yeah.
And not only just to be with all those fans there to support the band, but to hang out with my friends in bands and just kind of catch up. And because, I mean, at this point, it's been a while for a lot of the bands that I
Mhm.
work with.
You know, it's awesome that you've got what you're doing with the Kinney Brothers, the online stream. I know just recently I've caught a few of my other friends doing live shows, but finally back with their bands, but obviously by themselves, you know, either in different rooms or in one room spaced out. So it's good to see the bands coming back together, but it does make you kind of yearn for the actual show again. So at least you're able to be a part of it, that at least, you know.
Oh, absolutely. And that, so we did a stream with the Kenny Brothers 2 weeks ago, and like, even just, I wasn't even working lighting. I was just there helping, trying to figure out some stuff with the cameras, and just even doing anything that was production related made my soul feel so much better.
That's awesome. So as of right now, for being able to do lighting online and being comfortable with that, if you can do that, is there any way that the audience can reach out to you for at least seeing what some of your streams are going to be at, or if they can get in touch with you for maybe gig work and stuff like that?
Yeah, I mean, so I've got my Instagram and my Facebook are both under the same handle, Neighborhood Lighting LLC, and I usually am pretty good about keeping up to date with what shows I'm working on, neighborhood on my Facebook page, and mostly my Instagram is for just kind of posting how those shows went, and just kind of keeping a backlog of everything that's been going on. But either one, feel free to email me. Handle. My email is neighborhoodlightingllc@gmail.com. Um, my Facebook has my phone number if people want to give me a call if they got questions, if they're looking to get into lighting. I've been helping out a couple of friends build just some basic show stuff. Even just over the phone, they've got a question, they give me a shout, and I help them out as much as I can.
Good deal. And I know I asked you about your equipment earlier, but I kind of want to retouch on that. Is there are times when you have to take more than just your Akai's and all that stuff? Like, do you have to have some of your own like scaffolding and your own lights to take out the show sometimes?
Oh, I most of the shows that I do, I usually roll with. I have 8 moving headlights of my own. I've got 4 Chauvet Professional Rogue R1X spots, 4 Chauvet 250s.
Okay.
1X spots are, I mean, they're hefty fixtures. They're like 36 pounds a piece, and they're bright as hell. If you guys want to check it out, it's on. They were used on the last Kenny Brothers stream that we did. this past weekend, and that's usually my ground package when I'm rolling to a show. Is at least those four R ones.
And then do you tote that stuff with you when you know that the venue already has lights? Do you bring that stuff just as backup or just to be safe?
I just bring it to build onto house rigs. Like if a venue has a bunch of lights hanging from truss, and there's nothing as a ground package, I'll roll my lighting in as a ground package to kind of add more depth to the stage and be able to do different things.
Sweet, that's freaking awesome. All right, and let's see here. All right, so what is your drive to be a part of the music industry in a whole? But like, what pushes you to really want to do the lights? Like, what's your passion drawn from? Like, where's that pool coming from?
Oh, that's a good question. Honestly, it's just my pure love of music. Music's been kind of my fallback on everything in life. When shit's hit the fan, I know I can throw a certain album on, and it'll kind of just take some of that negativity away and forget about it for a little bit. And getting to put that experience for myself into to multiple thousands of people a night, because they're all there to see that one band, and I'm there to help enhance that show aspect as much as I can. So like feel like having people come up to me and even say like thank you for doing what you do, or just good job, it's like makes me feel a little bit better about what I do, even because 90% of the time it's a thankless job. Like nobody really says anything to the audio engineers or the lighting crew, any crew really. And it feels good when everything goes off without a hitch and you keep pushing for that to be a nonstop thing.
Heck yeah, that's awesome, man. And I think we got a question coming from the floor right now.
Yes, we do. We got two questions from our president, Rico. First question is, have you ever met Chris Kuroda, the LD for Fish?
I have not. I actually was just out in Colorado in February seeing Oysterhead, and was walking outside to go have a quick smoke, and I saw him being escorted by security to backstage, and like he basically ran into me. I wanted to say something but couldn't form words fast enough.
Awesome. And then the other question was, what programs do you recommend to start with for getting into light design and stuff?
Definitely go to malighting.com and download either Grand MA2 or 3 on PC. The only difference between the two, 3 being the newer, there's a bunch of new features to it. You could also use that on a Mac. You can't use MA2 on a Mac. You can only use that on Windows. But both softwares come with the 3D visualizer, and they're great at creating a lighting software.
Awesome.
And that's pretty much all I've got for you right now, man. If we have any more questions coming in here in a few would be great. And we've pretty much gone through all my stuff. Rico asked one of the other questions I was going to ask, and then also asking if you met the guy from Fish, which I didn't even think about asking you that. How was the Oysterhead show, though?
Oh man, that was incredible. I'd been an Oysterhead fan for many years. Never was able to see him, and the second they announced that comeback tour, I had tickets to both nights, and there was no way in hell I was missing that.
Nice.
It was just awesome. Absolutely that first night. Talk about first show backs. Like that crowd was definitely tied for the loudest crowd I had ever heard. The first, more so being that first show back with Mo when Rob beat Cancer. Like that, the Capitol Theater was going nuts. And then the same dB levels almost for Oysterhead's return.
Nice. And what was the name of the church that you were working at? The Stone?
Oh, the Stone Church in
Stone Church.
Newmarket.
How long were you there?
I'd say about a year.
Okay.
I was there, and then I had moved from Dover to York, Maine, where I'm living now. And so it was a haul to go all the way out there, and so I picked up the gig at the press room.
And the press room is just another like venue area, or is it like a church as well?
It's a venue in downtown Portsmouth. It's been there since the 80s, and they just did a renovation of it, totally changed the place last year, put in a kick-ass audio system, kick-ass light rig. It's just they made it into something great, and just not being able to go to work and see all my friends that work there, all my friends that come in for shows is just it's getting old.
Yeah. So with the like first type of programs and equipment to get on for like a starting LED, would you think, or would you say it'd be an easier foot in to start working live audiences at like a church building, or just go straight for a venue?
I mean, the best place to really start is probably getting in with a band that you're friends with and getting a hold of some lighting equipment and just even a small DMX operator with 8 faders, and going to your local bar with the band, setting everything up and doing a show that way. Because I mean, that's how I started.
Mm-hmm.
We were just in the little old bar Furies in Dover, and happened to start a whole new career path.
Gotcha. And how many shows do you like when you were doing the Stone Church? Were you there for like the early services and the afternoon services, or were you just the like certain days, certain times?
It was usually like occasional Thursday, but definitely a Friday, Saturday.
Mm-hmm. And then
And it
from
was
there to the
just about every week.
okay. And then for the new venue, is it just whenever your bands that you work for are playing, or do they ask you to come in with other groups?
So like I was the resident house LD at the press room for 4 months before all this happened.
Okay.
And like that was part of the reason. Like I literally quit my day job 2 weeks before all of this blew up, because I was like, all right, cool. I've got a good house gig. I'm set on lighting for a while. I can get by if I need to. And then I was home for 2 weeks after tour, and that was the end of it. Then it was like, all right, you don't have work until forever.
Have you been able to talk to, or have you been able to talk to the actual venue themselves about doing what you're doing right now with the Kennedy Brothers, maybe like getting them into maybe hosting online shows also?
We talked about it. I've talked about it to a couple of different venues.
Okay.
The Stone Church being one, and the press room being another. It's just trying to figure out all the right moves to have that be a good spot.
Gotcha. And all right, Tucker, we got anything else, or no? All right, well, LaGrassa, if you've got anything else you want to put out there, plug wise, or amp yourself up one more time with those sites people can get up with you, I think I'm kind of done with you, buddy.
Cool. Yeah. I mean, go check out the Facebook, my Instagram. I've got a YouTube channel where I post most of the whole show that I worked. There's shows from the Elevators on there, Johnny Trauma and Tucson the Liberator.
What's the YouTube channel?
The name of my YouTube channel is just Neighborhood Lighting LLC.
Okay. Good deal. We'll definitely have to make a post for that for you.
Yeah, and then like there's other like it's just a bunch of good people doing the thing they love, and getting to kind of film that, put my twist on it, and it's just a great industry to work for.
Good deal, man. Well, it was a pleasure talking with you, man. I hope had some good questions for you, I hope.
Absolutely, Dan. Absolutely.
Cool. All right. Well, thank you very much. And thanks everyone else for tuning in live for this interview. If we didn't get to a question that you had today, you can always ask us again at the emporiumlive.com/forum or any of our socials at the Emporium Live. And you can always catch previous episodes of Making It in the Music Industry on any of our streaming services as a podcast. All right. Thank you very much, everybody. Cy, we'll catch you later, man.
Thanks a lot, guys.